Hey guys, Ben here from Shape the Metal. I've had a couple of questions around tooling changes, tool post height, tool post adjustment and length of the tool post shafts on the Woodward-Fab hot rod power hammer. So just thought I'd quickly have a look and explain at least how I use the machine. There's some other opinions out there, but I use the machine the way that it's shipped and the way it's designed to be used. So with the upper and top of tooling, they've both got 16mm square shafts, similar to Pullmax style tooling. You'll notice that there's two different shaft lengths. The short shaft is the top shaft, and you definitely do not want to go shortening this shaft. The reason being is that once it goes in the collet, the top of the shaft bottoms out and you're left with enough of a gap at the bottom to get your spanner in there to undo the collet. So you definitely don't want to go shortening this shaft. The bottom shaft is a lot longer. Some people do say to shorten this shaft and then use the tool post itself to adjust height. I don't do that, and I don't recommend doing it. I recommend keeping the shaft length as it is from the factory and then using the jack screw on the bottom of the adjuster to adjust the tool height. Some people do say to cut it down and then use the larger thread to do the adjustment. I find that method a little bit clumsy and I can't really see any benefit. So they're the two different shafts. Short shaft is the top shaft, long shaft is the bottom shaft. We'll zoom in a little bit now and I'll go through the process of doing tooling changes when you're using the full length shafts. Okay guys, so there's a couple of components to the tooling / tool post on these power hammers. You've got your top ram with the top collet and your top tooling. You've got your bottom tooling, bottom collet. I don't know what this part's called, but you've got your large thread adjuster. There's some holes around here with this lock screw so you can adjust the height of the main tool post. And then you've got your jack screw down the bottom. And what the jack screw does down the bottom is, if you look at your bottom tooling, the jack screw actually pushes into the bottom of the tool post and allows you to adjust the tool height that way. Some people do use this ring here to adjust the whole tool post itself. I'm not a fan of doing it that way, as I said a couple of minutes ago. I just use the jack screw to do it. I think that works perfectly fine, and you don't have to go changing your tool post lengths. How I do my tool changes, usually that collet's done up. Come in with your C-spanner, undo the bottom collet. Now with these collets, you can undo them, but the tool still doesn't want to move. What you need to do is you'll get the collet to a point where it gets tight again, and then you just need to go past that point, and then the tool's free to move again, as you can see. So once you go to that point, that's loose to move out. I also use my other C-spanner at this point to back off the lock nut on the jack screw down the bottom, so we can adjust the tool height once the tool's out. Now, one of the problems with these obviously is you can't get your tool out in this position. I'll see if I can get the top tool. Yeah, there's a top tool at its maximum height. You can't get your tooling out of the collet at the moment. So what you need to do from here is grab your 15mm spanner and undo this nut at the back here. Undo that. You can slide your whole tool post forward, lift your tool out, and then you're ready to do your tooling change. At this point, you probably want to drop your top tool out while we're at it. So we'll do the same things we did with the bottom one. Get our C-spanner in there, loosen the tool off. And once again, you get to that point where the collet's a little bit tight again. Just go past that, and then your tool will just slide out. So slide that out. Okay, so I'm going to get the bottom tool in. We're just going over the thumbnail dies here. We'll get the top tool in. Once again, short shaft is your top tool, long shaft is your bottom tool. So that you can see we've got a little bit of interference on the tool here. I'm going to get my hands out of the way. A little bit of interference on the tools. So we just need to drop the jack shaft down a bit. And those tools will slide in. So we just push the top tool back up to the top of the collet. Tighten that collet up by hand. That's in there. We just nip that up so it's tight, and then with the bottom one you want to tighten this nut. Just make sure that your tool post is pushed up firmly against your stop so that everything's in alignment. Nip the nut back up, do it up with a 15mm spanner, and then you just want to nip this bottom collet up a little bit so that the tool's not flapping around, but don't do it up so tight that you can't adjust the height. And then we're just going to get the top tool down to bottom dead center, there, and we're just going to adjust the jack screw. That's about the tooling gap I need on these shrinking dies. And then we're just going to do up that bottom lock nut on the jack screw. Get my small C spanner. And then do up the top collet, or the bottom tooling collet. And that's it, guys. That's a tooling change. As you can see, it's real quick and easy to adjust your tooling gap. I didn't need to touch this thread at all. I haven't touched this tool post thread since the machine was delivered. It is set from the factory to suit all of the tooling that comes with the machine. So as long as your bottom shafts are the right length, you don't need to go adjusting this bottom tool post. You just do everything with the jack screw down the bottom. Yeah, that's it. Make sure your collets are done up tight on both sides. I'm just going to double check that top one. Yep, so we're all tight. Just double check the bottom one while we're here. And then you're ready to go again. That's it. That's a tool post change or tooling change on the Woodward-Fab hot rod power hammer. Thanks, guys.